There is a moment in every scandal where silence stops being neutral, where staying quiet stops being grief and starts being a choice. And in the Duggar family, that moment has passed. While his brother Joseph Duggar sat facing serious criminal charges, Jed Duggar reappeared on social media with a Mother's Day post for his wife. Warm, cheerful, not one word about what was happening. And if you know this family's history, that silence is not surprising. It is, in fact, exactly what was planned. Everything discussed in this video comes from public court records, verified news reporting, and official legal documents. Here is what makes this pattern so striking. We have watched this before. When Josh Duggar was arrested in April 2021 and later convicted by a federal jury on 2 counts of receiving and possessing child sexual abuse material, his brothers went quiet. Almost all of them. By design. The family closed ranks. And now, with Joseph Duggar facing his own criminal proceedings, the exact same playbook is running again. To understand why this keeps happening, you have to go further back than the headlines. The Duggar family has been public figures for nearly 2 decades. They built a brand around faith, family, and a very specific way of life. What most viewers never saw clearly was the organization behind that lifestyle. The Institute in Basic Life Principles, known as IBLP, was founded in 1961 by Bill Gothard. For decades, it operated as a Christian ministry, offering seminars, homeschool curriculum, and what it called basic life principles. The Duggar family were not casual participants. They were among the most visible representatives of this world. And here is where things get complicated. A civil lawsuit currently working its way through a Texas federal court is laying out, in formal legal language, exactly what IBLP was built to do. 2 women who grew up inside the organization are suing their father, their brother, IBLP, and Bill Gothard himself. They allege a conspiracy, not a metaphor, an actual legal conspiracy. According to that complaint, IBLP doctrine placed patriarchal authority at the absolute top of its structure. Husbands and fathers held complete control over wives and children. Children were taught that failing to obey even the unspoken wishes of those above them was a serious sin. This is the part that most people overlook. It was not just about religious belief. The lawsuit argues the entire structure was engineered to produce compliant victims and protect perpetrators. The complaint describes how girls inside IBLP were taught that if they were assaulted and failed to cry out loudly enough, they were equally responsible with their attacker. That teaching came directly from official curriculum. Wisdom Booklet 36, to be specific. Girls were also taught that suffering was spiritually beneficial, that reporting abuse was an act of defiance against God. This is not speculation. These are allegations contained in a formal civil complaint that has survived multiple dismissal attempts, including appeals all the way to the Texas Supreme Court. The Texas Supreme Court denied IBLP's attempts to have the case thrown out. The organization was ordered to pay over $116,000 in legal fees to the plaintiffs after a 2-year delay caused by those appeals. The case has not yet gone to trial, but it is moving forward. The same lawsuit describes a paramilitary training program called Alert Academy, based in Big Sandy, Texas, that operated as a training ground for boys inside the IBLP system. According to the complaint, Alert reinforced teachings about hierarchy, domination, and submission. Boys were trained that Christian masculinity meant being physically and emotionally dominant. The complaint argues that while girls were being trained to be victims, boys were being trained to be attackers. Joseph Duggar went through Alert Academy. Most of his brothers went through some version of this programming. So when Jed Duggar posts a cheerful Mother's Day message and says nothing about his brother facing criminal charges, the lawsuit gives us a framework for why. According to the complaint, within IBLP doctrine, older siblings hold a line of authority over younger ones. Disobeying that authority is treated as a sin comparable to disobeying God. Jed staying silent is not cowardice in the way most people understand it. Inside this system, it is obedience. And the timeline here is important to understand. According to reporting on Joseph Duggar's case, Jed was actively involved in managing his brother's properties and businesses after the arrest. Court filings indicate that utilities were shut off and eviction proceedings were initiated against the alleged victim's family. Jed and John Duggar were identified in connection with those actions. Joseph Duggar's arraignment is scheduled. The case, according to public court documents, is described as strong, and the same silence that surrounded Josh Duggar's arrest has returned. Jeremiah, Josiah, Justin, James, Jackson, not one public word. Only Jason has spoken at all. That pattern is consistent. It was consistent with Josh. It is consistent now. What this Texas lawsuit makes visible is something the cameras on a reality show never captured. This is not a family making individual bad choices in a crisis. According to the legal complaint, this is a system functioning exactly as it was designed to function. Protect the men, blame or silence the women. Cover the tracks, close ranks. Bill Gothard was removed from IBLP leadership in 2014 after it was publicly revealed that he had a long history of sexually harassing and assaulting girls and young women, some of whom were minors. His brother Stephen Gothard had previously been removed from his own senior position for similar reasons. The organization he built did not produce this behavior by accident. The lawsuit argues it produced it by design. So the question this case forces us to sit with is not really about Jed Duggar's Mother's Day post. It is about what happens when an institution spends decades engineering loyalty, silence, and blame, and then watches that engineering work exactly as intended, again and again, generation after generation. Joseph Duggar's legal proceedings are ongoing. The Texas civil case against IBLP and Bill Gothard is ongoing. And the silence from most of the Duggar brothers is ongoing. Whether any of that changes depends on whether the legal system and the people watching decide that this time, silence is not enough.